there's been that element of myself that's been observing, and then the element of self that's experiencing things and doing things, and then there's that element that observes. Have you ever realized when you're talking to someone, maybe you're just telling me a story and then you say, I told myself. Who tells the self? I told myself I'm not gonna do that. Who? Like, it shows good there's two people here. I mean, there's two parties. You know, who tells who?
Oh yeah.
And it goes deeper into spirituality now. I told myself I'm not gonna do that. Oh yeah, I told myself that. Yeah. Who tells who? You know, that's how it started. Okay, surely there must be two of them.
Let me welcome you on our show as SIKHOKHELE Explorer. Look, man, I'm so pleased to have you here.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much, brother. I'm also excited to be here, and you know, looking forward to because I would say also the day we met, even though I didn't expect that we will finally meet on that day, but yeah, I noticed that you're kind of a person who likes to unpack, you know, so that's also what I'm looking forward to as well. So thank you for having me, brother. I'm honored.
Yeah, brother. Man, just before we get into your journey of life and how it has been, like trials and beautiful moments, just kindly share with us where you're from and how was it growing up in the place that you were born in.
Well, I was born actually in the Gauteng, in the West Rand in Bushfield, but then I grew up in the rural areas of Mthatha, small township called Mthatha. But I know a lot of people know it because of this one human being who once walked this earth, but he's no more. So I grew up in a small village called Likunu. Did my junior high school years in there. So pretty much a rural boy, man, you know, herding the cows after school, didn't have much time to chat with friends after school. You know, you just meet with friends for only 1 hour, and then it's already time for you to fetch the cows, you know. Even though at the time I didn't understand it, but now I sort of like see how it has sort of like shaped the kind of person that I am in terms of managing my time from a young age, you know, because man, who would wake up at 4 o'clock? And then I'll be asking myself, why 4 o'clock? Like every day, I used to hate it, you know. So it was just that kind of life, man. And just loved music. You know, it was the only thing that kept me sane all these years. Yeah, man, just a massive love for music. And also the people that I've met, all my friends, it's people that I've met through the music that I listen to, pretty much. So, yeah, man, that was just my childhood in a nutshell.
You know, I like it when you allude that running after cows or having to fetch cows, because I know that life. It's not an interesting life at all, you know.
It's not, it's not, brother. It's not.
I like it when you allude to that life when you say like it had contribution on the things that shaped you. What are some other things that you look back like at the young you and you like this at that time it was not favorable or it didn't look as a favorable thing, but it really like worked out for me?
Brother, I would say there's a lot, man. There's actually a lot. I don't know where to start, but pretty much actually I was raised by a very strict parent, you know. after my mom passed away, um, we actually moved to Mthatha. In fact, that's the main reason why we moved to Mthatha, because as I said before that I was born like in the Gauteng. Then after that we moved to Mthatha, and my aunt's husband, man, he was a very strict man. And as a kid, bruh, you wouldn't understand some of the things, because it's actually that thing of, when a parent says, we used to do this in our time, in each and everything that he makes us do. Like, we used to do even more than what you're doing now. So now I'm being lenient on you. I'd say for me, it will have to be the issue of not having enough time to sort of like enjoy my childhood, in the way that I've seen other kids do, where they'll like play through all day and not having to worry about, especially those kids who didn't have like domestic animals in their homes. But hey, man, it really, really, really didn't sit well with me. I would always ask myself, you know, I, and one other thing as well, when I'm in the veld, I would always be by myself. And I feel like that's also the time where I got to connect and daydream a lot and start thinking, yeah, about things that um, not everybody, not just a regular human being would think about, just asking just deep questions, you know? And yeah, for me, I'll just say it was the inability to spend time with other kids at that stage, you know, and also being, having to milk cows at 4 o'clock. Before you do everything, it was just basically my life was just basically centered around a rural boy's life, man. There's pretty much nothing, I'm not from the city. Um, so yeah, man, that was just that.
Bro, as you're talking, I now sort of
Yeah,
understand where do you get like the traits of an introvert, because I also know like how it feels and what it means being a rural boy or a village
yeah,
boy, and
yeah, man.
that when you're exposed to like the modern side of life or modern side of cities, you get to lose confidence, or you get to prefer to
Mm,
close
mm,
everything in
mm,
yourself,
mm,
because
mm,
you don't know
completely.
how can you foot in that, like how can you
Mm,
foot in that
mm,
life. So
yeah,
it's I can actually relate somewhere somehow, and I get some of the conclusion about your life. But
yeah, man.
as you're speaking again, that you never had like sufficient, or what you can say, it's sufficient childhood experience like other
Yeah,
kids had. How's that how's that like affected your relationship with kids? I'm asking this, let me tell you something just before you answer.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Michael
yeah,
Jackson had the same problem, by the way,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he had the same problem. He couldn't get a chance to be a kid because he became a star at a very young age,
At a
and
very
that's why
young
he
age,
ended up
yeah,
like being Michael Jackson
yeah,
that he
yeah,
is. And
yeah,
yeah, tell
man.
me about that thing and the relationship that, I mean,
Bro,
the
first of
effect that
all,
it had.
yeah. Firstly, one thing that I told myself was like, I'm not gonna be this kind of dad to my kids, or this kind of uncle to my nieces and nephews, because I know how it feels like, man, to be like, brother. One thing you should understand, it's also one thing that I always tell myself, like, even if I'm told, would um, let's say maybe um, my uncle who was raising us would say, we were doing much in our time. You guys are lazy and everything. So one thing that I would tell myself is that, nah, man, times are changing, and surely, as I'm growing, I'm also seeing the edge, the edge to do that, to do the same with my nieces. I don't have kids at the moment, but I'm seeing the edge to do that. Like now, you get to see what, you know, man. This thing, it's sort of like becoming a vicious cycle, you know, where I'll also be like, this is how I grew up. In my time, we didn't have time for social media. We used to milk cows, but nah. Then I'll be like, no, man. This is where I need to cut this thing, you know, and try and be a different person, man. And it's difficult because you can't pour from an empty cup, you know. You can't give out what you don't have, you know. You can't, rather, if you were raised in an environment where being like, it took like a certain kind of an emotion to deal with that environment, and being the kind of dad, I'd make an example. I know, Nje, you also relate to that. Have you ever got a hug, maybe like from your dad? Like maybe not even a
No,
hug, just
no,
a regular conversation with your dad, whereby he'll, like, you know, unpack with you and just teach you some things about life. You never got to hear that. Even if like
never, man.
you never got to hear what, okay. Even if you hear it from your aunts. Ukuthi, hey, tata kuyakuthanda, man. Yes? Like, but and then when you're with him, then you're like, nah, this guy doesn't love me. I'm always working and all that. So I feel like the responsibility is on you, man, not to be the very same person to your kids and then say, this is how I was raised. I feel like if you are aware, it starts with awareness. When you start being aware, you would say, hey, flip, I'm starting to become the very same person now. What is it that I can do? That's where the inner work comes in, you know, the self work, the self help, where you have to like talk to your inner child, that wounded child inside of yourself that you never got to talk to, you know, that never got to make peace with the fact yokuthi, um maybe some of the things are happening just because your mom is no more, you know. That wounded child, just have to tell them, okay, no, SIKHOKHELE, death happens to everyone. Yabon. Um, it was just an unfortunate situation that your left. Mom left at an age where you're still young. And gosh, man, there's actually a lot of things that we don't realize that we are carrying as we're growing up, you know. So I feel like the responsibility is on you, man, to make sure that you go deep, deep, deep to that wounded child of yours, because it shows in it does. For me, I feel like it doesn't help to be this strong, always, you know, assertive person. No, doesn't feel pain. I feel like it doesn't work, for because I feel like there are stages in life, you know. At that time, I used to be like, I had to be strong in that environment. But now, as you grow up, you get to realize, oh, nah, man, I'm in a safer environment now. What used to work for me back then, being strong and might not actually work for me now, you know. And that's where the unlearning and then the self work comes in, you know, so that you'll be not a perfect human being, but just there'll be some things that the things that you're aware of, you can change at least, and not do the very same thing that you were that was done to you when you were growing up, you know. So I would say the relationship with my nieces, man, it's perfect. You know, I have a, I respect, man. I respect everyone. I respect from a kid up all the way up to, you know, an older person. because I realized that you can even learn a lot from a kid, bro. It doesn't matter the age, because I also believe wisdom doesn't come with age as well, you know. So I have a specific relationship with my nephews and nieces, man, to a point whereby even if umalume as an uncle you have to leave, they wouldn't like enjoy, like they would be so sad, hey man, uncle, where are you going now? And then, because I'm that kind of friend. I am much more involved in each and everything that they're doing. Like when they're drawing, they would invite me, Mom, help me, even if it doesn't make sense, I'll try and listen to that story of theirs. They're telling me, I'm just be there. I believe, man, they will never forget that thing. So I'm trying by all means, bro. I'm trying. I'm trying. Um, I'm learning as I'm growing. Yeah, that's what I would say. You know, because as a human
Hey
being,
man,
man, you'll always be work on progress.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
bro.
love that.
Yeah,
And what you're saying, there's something that stood out for me when you say,
yeah,
at the end, you have to be a human being, and sometimes you gotta not be assertive and like the strong like portray. I want to get like deep in that. What do you
yeah,
think we should teach our male or maybe like our boy child uh
yeah.
in our living years? What is it that we should emphasize to them?
Man, first of all, I believe just as human beings, we have emotions. We all have emotions. Let's just do away with gender for now, but as human beings, we have emotions, and we have our, whether it's happiness or sadness, and we all can cry. I just believe that we were taught how to go against nature, because having emotions, it's natural. But then growing up because of culture and all those things, we took socialization. A man must be like this, man doesn't cry and all that. We were taught, you know, to go against nature. So for me, I believe being in touch with your emotions, man, I feel like that's where the power lies in, because now you don't get to bottle up a lot of things. You get to open up and be able to face the emotion with, okay, this is what I'm feeling right now and I don't like it, and be able to face it head on at that time without even having to bottle it up. And then by the time it comes out, you're already like this monster that everyone doesn't know, you know, even the things that you do. Brother, we'll always have emotions. We'll always, it's like anger. You'd be angry at some point, you at some point you'll be happy, but um, that you don't like the things that you do when you're angry. But then if you try and suppress that, I feel like it comes to a point whereby just your body can't handle all of those emotions. And then that's where you'll find people doing um, horrible things that they thought they'll never do. So, first of all, I would say we need to teach our young generation, or maybe like the generation after us, that actually, hey man, it's okay not to be okay sometimes, you know, because I believe being a man, just because you are born a male doesn't mean you'll become a man. It's something that you're taught. So I believe if it's something that you are taught, it can also be something that can be changed over time. Goes back to what I was saying, that what may have worked back then for you, being tough and strong. Hayi, nyamezela mntanam. That's what you were told. Nyamezela mntanam, uyabona, kuzolunga. And then you didn't cry, you bottle a lot of things, and then now you're in a safer environment, you with your girlfriend or your wife, you're still the kind of human being. No, it won't work for you. It won't, because now this is where you have to be vulnerable and show, so that you avoid a lot of things, man, that can be avoided. I'm not saying we're gonna be perfect, but just to avoid a lot of things, brother, that you can see, Uti, they could have been avoided from the first place. So I feel like I'll just let my kids, man. Culture keeps on changing. Things change with time. I would like to teach my kids that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be in touch with your emotions, you know, because you feel these things, but then there's this voice inside of you, of society. Whenever you're emotional, then there'll be this voice, indoda, 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 indoda ikhali, indoda qina. You're a human being before you're even a man. You're a human being, man. So I would say it's okay to be in touch with your emotions, cry if you have to, you know. And I believe after that, that's when that's where power lies, you know. That's where the potential of finding not really a solution, of healing, in fact, you know, can come. So I would say that, man, because surely being a man and being tough, it doesn't work. Surely, I mean, you can see that. You can see that now just by just walking on the streets at night, and then you see a girl coming, and then she'll start changing the road in the direction that you're coming on, and she'll start changing just because you can see that she's being approached by a
Yes.
man. It doesn't sit well with me, brother. Yeah, well, it really doesn't sit well. But then I feel like my responsibility is not only to say, no, I'm not abusive. It is to only try and um, come up with, because I believe as men, we are part of the solution to what is happening in our country, you know. So yeah, that's just basically that, man. That's what I would advise the generation after us, so that they don't become the men that are called, to be trash nowadays, you know.
Brother, as you articulate this, as you articulate your answer,
Yeah,
I actually see myself along the lines of your description,
yeah,
So like I told you that I grew up in village, I'm a village boy.
yeah, yeah.
Growing up there created a certain character in
Of
me,
course.
and a certain not personality, but a certain like individual. And
Yeah,
I've been an emotional I've been an emotional being, and I've been aware of that at a very young age.
yeah,
Um, if something doesn't sit well with me, and it's something that I cannot control, I cry.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
me. But
yeah,
it's only now that I embrace that, like
yeah,
crying and I mean, owning emotions at that moment. It's only now.
yeah,
But while I
yeah,
was back as Lalini, I have a scar somewhere on my lips. You know how I got that scar?
Okay.
I was actually after cows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you know, I had those times. So as I was running after cows, it was winter, during the winter, and I fell. Then I fell on something that was sharp, and it created a scar on my lips. And I remember at that moment I was crying, like I was crying so crazy, man. And when I go back to my
Mm.
grandmother, she was like, "Oh, Sana Lomtana," and it was only for something like, it was not a long thing, and I kept on
Yeah,
crying
yeah,
because of,
yeah.
like, then I felt like crying, and she ended up saying, you yafundekela ke ngoku, uwile
Yeah, yeah.
indoda ayikali,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
and
yeah.
and
And
and and I have
those
to
words
tell
stick
you,
with you. Yeah. Those words will
and I
stick
have
with
to
you,
tell you,
man.
man,
Yeah.
growing up in villages made me to be proud of one thing. At that time, I was proud that I'm a man because
Yeah.
of how men were given not flowers, but were embraced. The fact that
Yeah.
you're a boy child, like,
Yeah.
to the community, it was like you're a security, but you have to start to
Yeah.
be a security to yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah.
with me,
Completely.
like, I found that so much difficult to conform with, and I went to town,
Yeah.
Lokshini, and when I get there, no guy would stand on my way because I knew how to fight. You know, I knew how
Yeah.
to fight. I
Yeah.
learned
Yeah.
that as lalini, because as lalini funeka ube uqinile, like,
Ah,
apha kokuqala,
you know,
because xa niyoqokelela there will be that thing of picking up a
those
fight and
stick
stuff.
fight. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
knew, Guti, I have to know how to fight. I knew how to fight, but when I got uh, like, when I got on town, the first incident that happened when I got in internship at school, I fought with someone and I stabbed him. You know, I stabbed him, and I was surprised how the whole environment was surprised on me, Uguti, you, because I was short.
Yeah.
I was shorter than all my
Yeah.
classmates. I was
Yeah.
surprised how the environment was surprised, Uguti. You, this boy is just so young, but he can stab a person. But I could stab,
Yeah.
and I stabbed
Yeah.
him, and it was like
Yeah.
an open wound. And therefore, when I was living in that environment, it introduced me to the new version of me, that, hey, when you're stabbing in this side, you're not a man, but you're a thug of some
Mm.
sort.
Mm.
You're doing things of a criminal. Only criminals
Yeah.
stab this side, gangster and
Mm.
stuff.
Mm.
But when I was growing up in
Mm.
villages, I thought that was actually part of
Because
being
at
like a
that age,
man,
there's
to
a very
defend
thin
yourself,
line. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, to defend yourself. And nokula, like ukula, out, because now you're in town, azikho ezantonga.
Yeah.
Better nangantoni na, if you find something on, you know, because you're used to ukula and stuff. So I can
Yeah.
actually see
Yeah.
myself along the lines of description that you putting up.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to go back to this thing, brother. You spoke about, like, how we are raised sometimes go against, like, nature, like the thing, Yoguti, we have emotions, it's natural, you know, it's within us, it's not something
Yeah.
that, like, we hit along the way, but it's something that
Yeah.
lives in us. Emotions, like, are part of our lives every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are things that happen to people, and they deem that as a nature, that, like, for instance, losing your mother, or maybe getting paralyzed for someone else, or
Yeah.
maybe, losing the person that you love. Some people
Yeah.
would say, why the nature must be so mean on me, or maybe, if that's God, why, God, you take both of my parents at this young age, or why
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
have to be so brutal, you know
Yeah.
and and that after time they find themselves still suffering the same incidents that took place long time ago, not being able to
Mm.
forgive whatever that they have
Yeah.
to forgive. If it's God, they have to forgive
Yeah.
God. If it's universe, they have to, like, understanding that transaction of losing whatever, that
Yeah.
means a lot to you. I want you to take me through that process. How do you do that? How do you forgive nature? Or how do you get to forgive God? You know, how do you like how do you learn to live again?
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Mm.
get the question.
Yeah, no, 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 I get you, brother. Um, I'm not gonna lie. Um, it's a journey, man. First of all, I feel like losing a parent or anyone close to you, I feel like it's something that you'll never make peace with. But but you can learn to live with by first of all, I have a belief that we all here, man, for different purposes, different reasons. And having experienced such trauma at a young age, that's one of the things that led me to question such things, where I would be trying to know, okay, what's the reason behind all of this dilemma of life, man? You see, man, I've lost friends at a young age because Mtata, it is a rural area, but brother, the crime in there, you wouldn't say it's no longer safe like the times of Tato Mandela and all those things. The things that happen there, I'm pretty sure people can see on cutting edge the things that happen there. Our grandmothers are, it's a lot, are getting raped, man, And so I would see, man, losing friends, people that are close to you through suicide or a friend getting stabbed by a person that you thought they were friends with, you know? And me, I'm also living this life that I'm in this childhood that I'm not enjoying, man, because um, you don't have a choice but to ask such questions. Go to, okay, why are we here? What is the purpose? Why are we here, man? And I feel like after asking those questions, that's where the possibility of getting answers, I feel like that's where the universe tries by all means sense to send signs, through people, through anything. Just if you are woke and listen and see and woke enough to see, the universe will try and send, you know. And I would like to say also one of the signs that man that I also got to see the story of, the story that you were telling me about Michael Jackson. I got to see it after this one that I'm about to tell you, of the guy that we respect a lot here in South Africa, which is Black Coffee. Bro, when I got to read about that guy's childhood, actually I saw, man, no. Brother, we all go through the same thing, but just in different ways. This guy grew up in Mthatha, milking cows. What is even worse for him, like he got chased by a taxi during the celebration that people were having in the 90s after Mandela was released from jail. He got chased by a car um, while they were celebrating. He got chased, funny enough, he got chased by a car while having sneaked um, out of the house of a strict grandma also. Because after his parents separated, he went to live in the Eastern Cape, which is the very same thing with me, but then differs with death. And he went to live with this strict grandma, the mother of his mother. And he would wake up around before, man, before going to school. And I was like, this is my life, man. So now I respect this person. I respect his music. I see his personality. This guy is humble, yet he's successful at the same time. you know. Then I got to see, no, man, actually, there is a bigger purpose, brother, behind everything that happens. I feel like actually that's where I started embracing my childhood while still a child, while still living the life that was unpleasant at the time. That's when I started, reading interviews from this guy, like where he would go deep in depth with, okay, I also didn't have time for friends. After school, I'll go for 1 hour, go play with friends, and then having to fetch the cows. And when I'm in the veld, that's where he used to say, like, it's crazy, bruh. He used to say he would daydream about Michael Jackson coming to in his township and then meeting him just because he's a big star also. And then they are friends, and then people will be clapping. That those are the things that he would daydream about in order to escape the reality, the harsh reality he was in, the dusty streets of Engangelizwe, and also like the childhood of his the unpleasant childhood. So I feel like the universe sent those things. I know some people don't resonate with that story. They wouldn't resonate depending on how you grew up. But for me, I feel like that was a sign, brother, from the universe, God, um, whatever you want to call it. That was a sign, Yoguti. We are here for a reason. You may not, it's okay not to know it now because life is a journey, man. You dream of a certain thing, you get there, and then you realize, oh, actually, I haven't even started. you know, it's a journey that you have to discover. It's a personal journey. There's no amount of books or motivations or people's experiences that will ever replace your own experience. Yes, it's okay to read. Yes, it's okay to have conversations with other people. But I believe your own experience, brother, no one has ever lived it the way you have lived it. We may have like similarities here and there, but I believe your journey here, bruh, is a unique one. And that's where I started appreciating, man, my childhood after seeing those things. And then, you also get signs as well, man. The people and how people treat you, because now you get to realize, you go to, oh, okay, part of who I am now and how I view life is also simply because of the childhood that I'm in. So if I was in a safer environment, who knows? Maybe I would have been a Tata, you know, um, grabbing our grandma's handbags. Who knows, brother? Who knows? Because you'd see most of these kids who do that. It's actually kids who were coming from like rich families, and you never know why they ended up there. But now I feel like the experience, the unpleasant experience that I didn't embrace at the time, it made me become the kind of human being that I am. I started being compassionate to other people, you know, spirit of helping, even if you don't have, because you know how it feels to not have, you know. So long it doesn't break your neck, man, to help another human being. It helped me to be humble and realize that, hey, brother, we all bleed red, man. We all we are all children of the same source. I don't wanna call it
Yeah.
with names because now I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
wanna
I,
get
I
into
totally
that.
get
Yeah,
that.
man. So
I totally
I
get
got,
that.
yeah, brother. I got to appreciate people. Even um at school, man, you see signs, brother, that, oh, okay, I'm actually a human being. I matter, even if maybe at home I feel like I don't matter. Like, you see, okay, this experience, this childhood is molding me for the better. It's unfortunate because sometimes I know there are some kids who grew up like in very difficult backgrounds, and they turned out to be horrible people in life. So I feel like there's also a certain part of your responsibility, because I feel like in that childhood, brother, if like it would get to a point where, if let's say maybe there's a goat missing, or a cow, in fact a goat, man, because a cow, it can sleep in the mountain, it doesn't matter. But if there's a goat missing, or a sheep, brother, you'd be told that you're not gonna sleep in the house
Hey
if
man,
this
I
goat is not
know
coming.
that.
And it's raining, and
I know that.
goats stay like in the mountain, like
Hey,
they'll stay at the top there where you see. How can I get there? When it's raining, they're gonna stay under trees. You're not gonna see them.
hey man. Hey man, I
So
know
you'd
that.
spend
And
the
I
night,
get so
man, in
emotional as
the
you're talking
maybe
about that.
you spend
I
the
get
night,
so,
brother.
just to stop you a bit, man. I get so
Yeah,
emotional when you're
brother.
talking about that, because I know that, those are some moments that, stood out for me in life and started to
Yeah,
make me be conscious. Because
yeah,
with
yeah,
me,
yeah,
you say cow, it's better. With me, it was
yeah,
a
yeah.
cow. That day, I think it was around 11 or 10. The cow was missing,
Mm, mm, mm.
and I had to go back and look for that cow, because that's the principle.
Yeah,
Inkwenkwe xa ikhona, imfuyo kufuneka iphelele.
iyaphelela. Yeah,
Iyaphelela imfuyo.
iyaphelela.
So hamba
Yeah,
uyojonga le nkomo ilahlekileyo. So I
exactly.
thought they were kidding.
Yeah,
And when they were
that
damn
was the
serious that
life,
you're not
man.
gonna sleep at home. You can
Yeah,
continue, brother.
yeah, that was the life, brother. Like, it's crazy. It's really crazy, brother. And then you would spend the night, because there's no goat that you'd find at night.
Right.
So you'd spend the night maybe like next door, or maybe in the toilet, because maybe next door they're already sleeping. You'd stay outside in the toilet, and then having to go watch in the window if Umadala hasn't slept yet, hasn't switched off the candle, and then it's crazy. And then after he has slept, that's when you're gonna sneak in. And then you're gonna wake up at 3 before he wakes up. Wake up and then make your bed, and then quickly go disappear so that he doesn't find you in the house. That's it. And then when it's around 6, then you go, and in each household, neighboring household that would maybe this goat would have slept at. So, man, I experiences like that, I feel like, man, they really, really groomed me into becoming not only that, but I also feel like some part of me also has had a play into this, because I believe there's many realities, man. There, at that moment, there would have been a reality of me being a street kid, a reality of me being robbing people because I'm bitter, because I'm wounded. We all dealing with a lot of things, but there would have been many realities of me. But because of the choices that I made at the time, because I believe we all have choices, man. I don't care what you say, even if you'd say, "Hey, I went through that." Because also, man, there's actually there's a very thin line between self-compassion and self-pity. Some people who end up doing wrong things and then blaming it on their background. But no, it's because I grew up like this. You know, that's self-pity, because now you isolated yourself, and then you made it, just because you grew up in this certain environment. You made it as if you are the only person who grew up in that kind of environment, not realizing that not being woke enough to see signs, stories of other kids, or not being open enough to see, brother, good, like there are other people who are having it way much worse than yet they turn out to be good people in the society. That's self-pity, and then you isolate yourself, and then you want people to feel sorry for you. If they don't, you're like, okay, they don't get me. You become bitter, and then like, okay, I'm not understood. You start doing the wrong things. Yeah, but then you start doing the wrong things with compassion. It's more like, okay, I have a wound here. Let's say maybe you've broken your leg. Né? I have a wound. You know how long it will take. Let's say maybe it will take 6 months for this wound to heal. Né? Like you're gonna be a bit soft to yourself in order it's gonna take like 6 months, 6 weeks, not putting pressure into the wound, just because you're a man. That. But that's where um responsibility that's where a choice comes in, because I feel like we all have a choice, brother. um I'm trying to find a way to simplify this, but whatever that the universe throws at you, you have a choice to either make maybe lemonade with those lemons, or be bitter and eat those lemons as they are, and then do the very same thing to another human being. You have a choice. Whatever happens to you, there's some level of decision, responsibility that comes from you. So that's where as I grow and grew, I got to realize, oh, okay, there's also an element of myself as well. It's not just the background. It's not just the people who raised me, who made me the kind of human being that I am. So it's also ownership. Yes, things happen to you, but it's also taking ownership of what has happened and try and find the brighter side of look at the brighter side of things, because there'll always be a lesson in whatever that you're going through, brother. It's up to you to learn. But if you haven't learned, you're still gonna face the same situation, and it's gonna be like up until you learn. So I feel like also that's part of the purpose of being in life. We're here to grow our souls, to learn. Because if you see each and everything, you learn, brother. You learn, you learn, you learn, you learn. There's no losing. Like if you actually look at how life is built, there's no losing, brother. Because what you thought was a loss at the time, now you got a valuable lesson out of it. And, I got to realize, okay, I'm learning, brother. I'm learning. And also, I got to unlearn. That's one of the things also that I feel like we don't talk about as a society, which is unlearning. I had to unlearn a lot of my beliefs. I had to learn to let go of some of the beliefs that I had without losing who I am also, you know, because I feel like some people they sort of like identify with their background. Oh, I'm this person who grew up like this, therefore like the universe is unfair towards me and all that. They'll define themselves, and then how they grew up becomes who they are. Even if you abuse a certain person, you're gonna use that as a supporting factor with why you ended up abusing your girlfriend or whoever. It's because I grew up like this. But no, you have there's a possibility of changing, man. So I had to unlearn some of our biases and knowing ukuthi, yes, I grew up hard, but there's other people surely who have had it worse more than I did. And I should also like remove some of the expectations that I have of the world and not think just because I grew up the way that I grew up, the world owes me something. You know, if someone disappoints you, brother, you have a choice to either learn, because the moment you start blaming them and taking it as a loss and then making it, oh, this person, hey, he said we're gonna meet at 1, now he's coming at 4. You're giving it that person the power. You're giving that person a power. You're doing it for yourself. So when you're taking it as an experience of, okay, learning, then you'd see, oh, okay, um, actually, now I might start maybe paying attention more towards actions more than words, because this person said this, and then I believed him because I was the person who was believing more into words and ignoring the actions. Now you have learned. You have one. Okay, actually, I should start paying attention more to actions more than words. You know, and that's when you learn, brother. You can actually learn in each and every situation that you meet. I can go on, man, but I
I
feel
see,
like
man,
I
and you're
I I
going.
also got to be, yeah, brother. I got to be. I mean, there's actually a lot of things that you can learn from one thing. It's crazy how an experience can teach you a lot of things. Just one experience. Now I'm humble, brother. I know just because I grew up the way I did doesn't mean by this age I should have been successful because, hey, I grew up this way. I'm still, you know, kind to myself to know ukuthi, yes, I grew up the way I did, but life keeps on moving. Life, if whether I live for 100 years, it's nothing but a test. I'm still gonna face some challenges uh, of the certain stage that I'm in right now. You know, I'm still gonna face
Yeah,
them. It doesn't mean now that I'm in a safer environment. I'm still facing some other challenges, but they're not really like the one that are. I feel like also that's when I you get to see who okay, actually life is just black and white, good, bad times, good, bad. We wouldn't know the good times if it wasn't for the bad times. So
yeah, you're
even
right.
if success, anything that comes as success or happiness, whatever, anything that's maybe comes um, as a nice thing, it has some element of the dark side into it. There's something that you'll have to lose after getting that. Have you realized, okay, let's say maybe you become a successful person. There's some part of you that there's some things in your life that you'll have to pay with, sacrifice after getting that success that made you happy. Oh, okay, I've strike this deal. There's something that you're gonna lose. Whether say maybe, for example, Black Coffee, the guy always struggles with privacy. Like he's a very reserved person, but industry that he's in, it's forcing him to show because it's show business. That's where he would like always hear people saying, "Hey, bro, you too humble for your status, man." That's what he usually says when he hears it from like those guys around his peers, like from the hip hop, maybe other industries. He would say, brother, you're so humble, man, for 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 the position that you are in. If this was brother, I would show people if this was me. So I feel like also, um, man, I feel like you get to realize, oh, okay, actually, even a bad situation, it has some element of good within it. Even a good situation, it has some sort of um, uh, bad things inside of it, because there's something that you're gonna lose, man. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. Right now, I'm gonna make an example. I'm at varsity. I'm a broke student at varsity. You know the struggle, man. We siyazama, you know. But I have
Yeah.
time in this stage. I have time, a lot of time, you know. By the moment I make it, doesn't matter where by the moment I make it at that stage, I won't have the time. You see that I've lost something. I won't have the time that I used to have at varsity. I'll be
Oh,
having the
flip.
money that I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
have at varsity, but now I don't have time.
Aish, man. Basically, we
You see?
always give to have. We always have to
Exactly.
give.
There's
I
something
see, I
that's what you should
see.
accept about life. There's something that you have to pay. There's something that you'll have to sacrifice whenever you get to a certain stage in your life. Just know, good, okay, even if this success comes, it's not being unappreciative and being negative. It's just expecting and knowing the rhythm of life. Good, okay, this is how things are, man. I'm here now. Maybe your girlfriend always complains, good, hi, 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 hi. You don't have money. What? You know, man, the struggle of gents in university.
Mm.
But now, when you make it, you don't have time for your girlfriend now. She'll start complaining, you don't have time. But you give her the money, you know, you win some, you lose some. That's
I
just
see, man. I see.
how
And I
life
wanna
is,
jump
man.
in.
Yeah.
I just wanna jump into everything that you have said.
Oh, yeah.
I I can relate deeply, deeply
Yeah.
relate with what you are saying.
Yeah.
And as you speak, I keep on seeing myself along like your descriptions, man. And it's crazy.
Yeah,
I do
man.
want to
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. I never thought like we're coming from like the same angle of
You
life.
see, we all
You
go
know,
through the same thing, man. We're
I
all in
never
the same
thought that.
boat. Yeah. Yeah.
So this is what jumped into my mind as you speak.
Yeah.
And like you're making me to appreciate like the moment I have at this moment, like so
Exactly.
dearly. Let me tell you
Exactly.
something, man. And you're making me to be like more curious of more like incidents and challenges that are still yet to
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
tell you,
Yeah.
brother, how I had it as a young person, like growing up, I never, I didn't have a lot to show to the current future or to
Yeah.
the current state. Let me say that, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
time, it was a current future at that time.
Yeah.
So to put it right, I didn't have when I was young, I didn't have much to show to the future.
Yeah.
And I was not encouraged to live for the future. I was deeply like so hopeless. Yet I had people who loved me around me, you know. But I felt like they couldn't reach out to the boy that I was, but you know, it was that thing. I was not
Mm,
so much I was not so much optimistic
mm,
about the future, but yet I was not pessimistic. I was just a person living at that
mm,
time, but I was not
mm.
conscious about the moment because I was just a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sit like I got into challenges that I was conscious about, and I got to defeat them. And the first challenge that I got to defeat, it was the challenge of proving to myself, to everyone around, and you know, to the energies valuity. Hey, I can read and pass.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I've been so much slow in assimilation. especially
Yeah.
methodologies.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a talent. I still don't have it. And
Yeah.
as kids, to see other kids having talents, to see other kids not
Mm,
having talent but excelling at school, that
mm,
give you
mm,
hard times,
mm,
you know. So when I was presented with the challenge of not being able to read when I was doing grade 9, I was not able to read. You know, I was that, you know, when I was
mm,
reading, that
mm,
was me,
mm.
you know, at that
Yeah.
time, and I'm doing grade 9, and
Yeah. Yeah.
when you ask for books like out of interest, you know, when that feeling of saying, "Hey, I know how to read, I'm gonna change," you
Mm,
know, the
mm, mm,
affirmation thing.
mm.
When you borrow the
Yeah.
books
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
children,
Yeah.
they would say, "You can't read. Uyisaphi incwadi ungakwazi ukufunda." You know, that
Mm,
was
mm.
challenging moment for me. One of the moments. So many like rough things happened as well to me. So that was one of the moments after defeating that, because my mother's prayer was at least to finish matric, and it was hard to get there.
Mm,
It
mm,
was really hard to get there. I already made up
mm,
dreams like that I can actually be comfortable around, like ukthunga isihlangu, like
mm,
I, because that thing doesn't require like a brain skills and
mm,
like
mm,
smartness. Those are
mm.
like things that I could make for myself. But I
Yeah.
was challenged with this like literature before me, you know, being a fitting child at school.
Yeah.
When I finished matric with good grades, in my mind, and at that moment, I was
Yeah.
like, even if I die, I've done so good for myself.
Mm,
You
mm,
know, I was
mm,
so much
mm,
satisfied from
mm.
like the completion of that stage, because I knew
Yeah.
where I
Yeah.
come from. Like you said,
Yeah.
that like there were choices. I could have been a street
Yeah.
kid. I was so much
Yeah,
closer to that.
man. Yeah.
I became
Yeah.
one for a day. You know, I could have became a criminal.
Yeah.
I was so much like close to that. Like I said, to stab a person to me, it was not a big deal. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
but when I saw myself transforming into someone like that after I finished matric, like getting all those things, I was like, I'm so enough. Like I am
Yeah,
so
man.
fulfilled, you know, even if I
Yeah.
can die at that moment. And
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the journey of me completing high school and stuff, it wasn't only to focus on completing, but with what I got to know and got to be exposed to, I shared with others. So like it was alive in general. My mother was happy
Mm,
that I finished
mm,
because it was a
mm.
dream, you know. Even
Yeah.
myself, I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, difficult, you know. So I get to see
Yenzeka
myself.
le
But
nto.
yeah, at the end, it's what you are saying
Yeah.
when you say challenges bring like the best of us.
Yeah.
From like all the challenges that I had, I got like to celebrate myself, even right at this moment. Even if
Absolutely.
I can get a call from God and say, "Hey, daughter, oh yeah, faxas, I'm 12, so be ready." I
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
"I'm
Yeah.
ready."
Yeah.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
done enough
Yeah,
according to
brother.
myself, because I'm driven by an original success. You know,
Mm,
I
mm,
don't
mm.
I don't understand success based on what people say about success. I
Yeah.
understand success based on how I feel about
Great.
success and what
Exactly.
makes it for me. You know,
Yeah.
so I'm loving that. But the question I want
Yeah,
to submit
brother.
now to you
Yeah.
is is this question about challenges, to be exact.
Yeah.
Tell me about the power of going through difficult times. Tell me about the power, like the good power that you get out of that going through difficult times. It's what I discovered, that everyone was meant to struggle, but I don't understand how is that benefiting us on the other side.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
tell me about
Yeah.
that power. Should we go for difficult times or should we go for nice times? Tell me about that whole thing, man.
First of all, brother, I would say we learn more in difficult times more than we do in nice times. Because when Like when we are happy, like we forget nje, we are just nje in the moment, wishing ukuthi it could extend. Can't, that's not how life is. If you could look at the kind of person that you are, your resilience, your 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 perspective in life, how you treat other people, it's all coming back from the difficult moments that you've had. If you're helping another human being, it's because, and then that's deemed as a good thing. You've seen and you've experienced how it feels to be, to not, to not have, you know how it feels. So that's where compassion comes, you know, because because of the difficult moments that you once had. Um, Forgiveness, brother, forgiveness. Uh, when you grow and then you learn and then you see how our parents could have, how there was no way for our parents to do any different than they did at the time raising us, that's how they were raised also. They weren't aware which that they are still pushing the very same thing towards their children, that they didn't ask, they didn't question if it's working, it's still working or not. You learn to forgive, brother, because you get to see also yourself. There are some things that you've carried with you up to a moment whereby if you've been at that moment of unlearning and questioning some of the tactics that you've used to maneuver around life, if you've been at that stage, you get to realize, look, why did I say that to that person? The way I wasn't patient with that person, maybe I've taken that from, you know, somewhere. And only after you become aware, then that's when you're going to start changing, and being aware of that trait of yours and try and change it. Because now you see it in yourself, then I feel like it now becomes easier for you to forgive also your parents who raised you or whoever raised you, if you were not raised by your parents. So you learn to forgive, man. You learn to forgive because you realize ukuthi, you can't pour from an empty cup. How your parents did, it was basically how, what they knew at that time. That was their consciousness. I'll make an example with bullying, man. I I I I I was once in Klex because we used to move around with my mother while she was still alive. We'd move from places to places, and that, I feel like, also moving from places to places, even though it had sort of like delayed me um, academically, because I would start studying from this school, and then when I'm starting to adapt, and then I'm already moving to another one now, she's changing places because of work. She didn't have a choice. And that also helped me with, the bright side is that I'm a multilingual person now. I'm able like to speak many different languages. I didn't just look from the perspective of, okay, it delayed me, and I struggled a bit in school because of that, because I was changing. You'd go to a school that's a little bit um on the low when it comes to performance and all those things. Those rural public schools where they would even teach you English ngesXhosa. So 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 yeah, man, it was just those things where, oh, okay, I realized, okay, I'm delayed I was going into this issue of bullying, you know. As a kid, man, there's a lot of bullying. You go through a lot of bullying. I don't know if it's others have never experienced it, but I feel like that also trait also taught me the forgiveness. The forgiveness part also came from bullying. Bullying doesn't have to be physical. Because I knew how to protect myself, but it's just speaking for yourself sometimes. Because I used to struggle
Mm.
with that, man. As you know that I'm a very reserved person, so the person sometimes you realize that okay, there'll be this kid in school, in primary, will always like be on your case and saying negative things, always seeing negative things about you, Hey, and kids are brutally honest, man. They'll tell you exactly of your, like, whatever that they know about you, whether it's your home situation or whatever that you have when they will be brutally honest and tell you, bro. And
Yeah, yeah,
And then there will always be that kid. There's always be that kid that you always on edge when he's around. But then, and then you start trying to live your life uh, without forgiveness. You're trying to live your life trying to validate because that kid who used to say those negative things to you, that voice always rings in your mind, and you start living your life trying to find validation for that whatever that they said. Maybe hey, you so ugly, man. Whatever it was, man. Uh, there's different things. You try and live your life trying to find something. You go to, okay, here I am now. You know, then you sit in me, wara, ndingelo ngoku, I'm cool.
yeah, yeah,
And then you
yeah.
realize I'm cool. I'm here in varsity. Where are those people? When you here now trying to find validation, you meeting new people and you still trying to find validation, and then you realize, man, actually I'm speaking to an invisible audience because I'm still carrying that whatever that was said by that kid. I haven't forgiven him. It's still stuck with me, you know. But the moment you meet the kid, let's say maybe a varsity at a house party somewhere, he'd probably be a cool person because people change, man. We grow up, and then you realize, flip, abantu bayatshintsha bra, umuntu nice ngoku when a 10 yabo, like at that time bullying you, that's what he knew. He was just being a kid at that time, you know but also I feel like also that's where like forgiveness comes in, where you realize ukuthi, nothing stays the same, brother. We are like seasons. um
Bro,
we Every year we always change into a new consciousness each and every year.
mm,
It doesn't even have to take a year.
yeah, yeah,
Through a
yeah,
week,
yeah.
if you a person who really retrospects, you can see, oh, okay, I've learned. You haven't lost who you are, but you've actually added. you know you also learn by also unlearning some of the things, um which include also forgiveness, and you know
I
so
like that,
I
brother.
that's yeah, that's what tough times do to you.
I want to jump
you
with
know
this question because we're just gonna wrap up in no
all
time.
right, man.
I
All right.
don't want to miss this thing. I know this is where the fountain of your wisdom is coming from, and I
Yeah.
want us to juggle around that. Two books
All
you
right,
have
man.
read,
Yeah.
For
Yeah, yeah.
Agreement and The Power of Now. Man, please take us through those two books. What is it that you have learned from reading that book?
Yeah.
From,
Mhm.
from
Hey, bro.
what you have learned from reading those books? Let's start with The Power of Now.
Man, that book changed my life, man. That book changed my life. And I feel like even if I would meet that guy, he's already old now. Like he's around 79. He's old. He's a Canadian. He's a German-born spiritual teacher, and pretty much that's another thing. Also, his life was pretty much the same with mine in terms of mental health. Not really in terms of like family and the background and how you grew up. No, just in terms of mental health. The guy has been struggling for some time with mental health, like from an age of 13. So the book that you're talking about now is the result of him battling with mental health issues, to be precise, depression and anxiety. You know, he got to a point whereby he went to he on the surface level he would do well, go to school, get distinctions, get scholarships, do things, but there's still this depression underneath that doesn't want to go away. And it pushed him to look for answers. He looked for them in philosophy, he looked for them in psychology, he looked for them even from professors that we respect professors, so only to find out that even the professors that he thought had the answers, one of them would even maybe like some of them kill themselves through suicide. And then that's where he realized, which actually, even the professors that he thought had the answers, actually they don't. So that's where he started going within now, instead of going out without living from the outside within. He started living from the inside out. You know, he many people who read a lot on spirituality, doesn't have to be African spirituality, just spirituality, because spirituality is broad, man. They know that some call it an awakening, some call it whatever, man. But he was at a point whereby like he there was a shift from the ego self, the person that you think you are, and the person that he really is. So that's how the book The Power of Now came, whereby he realized, okay, ever since all my life, there's been that element of myself that's been observing, and then the element of self that's experiencing things and doing things. And then there's that element that observes. Have you ever realized when you're talking to someone, oh, maybe you're just telling me a story, and then you say, I told myself. Who tells the self? I told myself I'm not gonna do that. Who? Like it shows good there's two people here. I mean
Oh
there's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
two,
yeah, Cliff.
parties.
Mm.
You know, who tells who?
Oh yeah,
Then it
yeah. I
goes deeper
see.
into
I see.
spirituality now. I told myself I'm not gonna do that. Oh yeah, I told myself that. Yeah, 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 yeah. And I was like, who tells who? That's how it started. Okay, surely there must be two of them. Then he goes deep into that. That's where things like soul, spirit comes in. Okay, there's an element of you that remains untouched. That element that makes you alive. You know, others call it spirit, others call it the holy, whatever. It doesn't matter, man. But there's different jargons for different religions, you know. But that element that okay, this is the element that I connect with. If you are a Christian, that's the element that of the spirit, man, that I reside in whenever I feel like I'm conflicted inside. I can't find myself. This is the element that I connect with the source, with the most high. That's how we managed to get it. So basically the book, in a nutshell, is just about the presence, realizing with all your life, everything happens in the present moment. Ever since you were born, everything has been happening in the present moment. So there will never be a future. There's never been the past. Everything is in the moment. We're just saying these words, just to it's like time. There's really no time, brother. But there's a clock was the clock was invented so that the world will keep, you know,
It's record.
moving. Yeah. It's records exactly. Yeah, that's the word I wanted. So there's really no present moment. If you think about the past, you think of it now. Even in the past, it was in the now. You were thinking about the future. So it doesn't really matter to look toward the future if you're not treating the present moment well, because the future is the present moment. It's already
I'm
the present
loving that.
moment. Yeah, it is the
That
present
gives me
moment. If
chills.
you're saying putting things into the future, it's still gonna come as a present moment. It is the present moment. It's just another word, if I may say so, of the present moment. And then now when it's the future, we automatically think, okay, yeah, well, some random destination. It's not a destination. It's a present moment where you are right now. That's where the issue of the kind of person that you become is because of how you treat the present moment. How you are right now will give a result to the person that you will result in you becoming the person that you become in your future, of which is the present moment.
Eish,
Even the past is still the present moment, man. Appreciate the moment. Appreciate the moment. He would even mention Guti like that when he realized that he wasn't thinking about that. You shouldn't think of that because when you start thinking of it, you gonna it won't make sense in your mind. Like when it comes to the human mind, it won't make sense because the mind works with logic, good past, future, yesterday, tomorrow, what, time. You know, it wouldn't make sense. Try and realize that, dude, man. Everything has been happening in the present moment, and that's where he got to realize I have to appreciate the present moment because there's no future, there's no past without the present moment. If you're not appreciating this present, how do you, what's gonna what's gonna be different in the future? Because the future still comes in the present moment. It's crazy
I'm
because we
loving
grow
that. That
up.
gives me chills,
Yeah,
man. You're
yeah,
blasting my
man. Yeah,
mind.
you just have to realize it. Take a moment, deep breath, and think about it. And not even think because it comes and goes, man. It's not something that you always think about because you're a human, brother. You're not here to be perfect. You're here to learn, and you're here to experience life, have a human experience. Hence, that description that I've put, with an infinite being having a temporary human experience. I'm an infinite, which is I'm not bounded by time. I've been existing. I've been, and I'm forever gonna exist. I'm just temporarily having a human experience right now, which is not pleasant, I know, but I'm just having a human experience. So
I
it's
get it, brother.
just about presence. Um, and also the meditating stuff and things. And that's how his life changed, man. After that, because he got a master's, I think it's in philosophy or something, or languages. He got a master's, but he never got to use it. He became a spiritual teacher after realizing this. He started teaching people about this, and then more and more people started coming and asking questions, and then that's when he became this spiritual teacher. So I'd really admire that man. That man changed my life, man, because he didn't promise Uguti, work hard and have money because you'll be happy. That teaching goes beyond appreciate. It goes beyond the desire to be successful. Successful. It shows you and gives you an imagination. You're good. I'm still gonna be here, like in the present moment. Even when I drive the Ferrari, I'm still gonna be here. It's not being saying, okay, money is not important or some money it is important, brother. Money it drives the world, but it teaches you some sense of appreciating the present moment. It teaches you to be grateful of life, to live, man, to be able to use all your five senses while you know there's someone battling out there in the hospital and who might probably lose one of their senses, you know. It teaches you to appreciate the little things. Have a conversation with the guy at the corner. You know there's some wisdom in that guy, even if he looks that way in the eyes of the world, but surely there is some you you relate to another human being through that sense of beingness, not just the humanness. Because the humanness is the ego. It's all about, hey, the moment I meet you, what do you do for a living? Hey, and then I start, you know, judging you in myself. In my mind, I'm start, oh, okay, you're actually better than me. Oh no, I am actually better than you. And then that also influences how I treat you, you know.
I mean, I'm
So
loving that.
if
And I'm watching
human
time.
being, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
bro, because
I'm
of
watching
time, man,
time.
because I wouldn't stop talking
Let's
about
leave
this,
the
man.
second book, ne?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
here's what I want to promise you.
yeah.
Here's what I want to promise you. So, at this moment, I'm on a grind of working for like equipment for us to have like physical podcast conversation.
Okay.
So you're one of the guests that I will jump into having when all that is already
When all
like
that comes
set in
into,
the
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, man. All right.
And I want us to close it right at this moment. I would love to
No
get
problem,
like
brother.
into I would love us to cascade with the conversation and get to the conclusion of it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
because of time, my brother,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
have to
brother.
come to see the conclusion. There's
Yeah,
one thing I want to leave on what you just said. It's what I learned recently, you know, and the power of living in the current or in the present moment, you know.
yeah.
This is what I've got to realize. And I guess what you're saying, it complements this because I'm always like thinking and I'm thinking
Mm,
without
mm,
fear.
mm.
Like I have so
Yeah,
much freedom in thinking, you know.
yeah,
One of the
yeah,
things that I was thinking, it was after like things that happened in my life till this far, I was like, actually, the best thing that I can do for myself right now is to never own the things that come with the current moment except for in memories that I
yeah,
cannot erase,
yeah,
and for everything that is not tangible. I should actually learn not to own all the things that created the moment. If the moment
yeah.
had tables and people, the table is not mine. The person is not mine. You
Exactly,
know, I'm
exactly.
just the person in the moment. Tomorrow,
Completely,
I should
man.
live
Completely.
without the table.
I
Tomorrow, I
love
should
that.
live without the person.
I
So
love that, man. I love that. I
that
love that.
what you say, it really
Wow.
like man, it gives me it
Exactly.
gives me chills. But I want to
Exactly,
conclude our
brother.
conversation with this, brother.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh
wish
yeah.
it comes from you. You said you so energy sensitive. You don't just associate yourself with people. Tell me
Oh
about the
yeah.
importance of that
Yeah.
and how that came into like being something that is
At,
considerable in
yeah,
your
yeah.
life.
At first, it's something that I wasn't aware of. There are some things, brother, that you um actually, yeah, from childhood, you're not aware of that. You just mingle with everyone, you know. But as you grow, then you ask yourself, why am I keeping? And then you look at the people that you are keeping in your circle. I feel like that's where you get the answers. Okuto, oh, okay, I gravitate towards this certain kind of energy, you know. Growing up and up until to where I am, and looking at the people that have was always been, especially friends who've always been surrounding me, I see that, oh, okay, actually, as people, brother, we gravitate towards energy. We gravitate towards energy more because now it doesn't matter what you have. Even a rich person can demotivate you, man. It depends. As people, we gravitate to the energy that I'm giving you. Think about it. Every person that you meet is either gonna raise or drain your energy. When you look at that from that perspective, that's when you're gonna see, oh, okay, no, I this is where I have to step back now. I know from the moment I start having just a small anyana conversation with you, that's when I know nah, we're not gonna vibe alone. Yes, you are rich. Yes, you have the things that you have the social identity, you are respected. But when I'm with you and looking at how you treat your people, you're more like, nah, that's not what I resonate with. It doesn't matter. Even if whatever that we're working on, there wouldn't be any magic, man, because I don't relate. I don't we're not feeding off each other like the energy, positivity, positive vibes, because when you are in this ego self, this identity that you've allowed, that you were given by the society, okay, you are this untouchable person. And then now you always functioning with it, and it hinders you, brother, because blessings even can come with a person with ripped clothes. But if you already that person who looks people only from the human side, then you wouldn't notice that. So that's where I feel like also the energy, you could be a street kid, but the the conversation that I would have with you, the energy, it doesn't matter who you are for me, whether you're a street kid or a rich person, it's the energy that matters, brother. Because I feel like after that, hey man, magic happens, because now you are feeling I'm 50, you are 50, and then when we meet, we together make 100, yeah, we resonate, brother. We resonate. You're already adding on whatever that I already know. Whatever you're saying right now, it's like it's something that I've heard. Some of the things that you said, things that I've heard, or maybe, but somehow forgot along the way. That's energy. You're clicking with this person. Whenever I tell you something, it's like you've known this thing all your life, but you somehow forgot it. That's energy, brother. And for me, at least personally, inspiration, motivation, and all those things, brother, I feed on those things. Like that's my currency. So if you're not giving me that when I'm interacting with you, I don't care even if you're the richest person on earth. If I'm not getting that, there's no point. There's no point, man.
Man, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for your
Appreciate it,
humility.
man. Nah,
It has your humility really like portrayed itself very well.
yeah,
And you
yeah,
such
yeah,
like an open-minded person. And I
yeah,
love the
man.
world that you're living in, man. And I think like gonna have some other interview from time to come.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I love I love like the way you describe things, where you are standing on life, how you view them. I
yeah,
really love them,
yeah,
and I really
yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
your time, man, so much.
Nah, no,
Like,
bro.
thank
It's
you
my
so much.
pleasure. It's a pleasure, brother. It's a pleasure. Also enjoyed the conversation, man. I also believe that I I don't like staying to my mind a lot. So whatever I'm saying to you, I'm actually saying it to myself. If you feel like
Mm.
I'm the one who has taught you something, I taught myself, like I'm embedding it into my mind, because also it's that issue of when the student is ready, the teacher will come, or the student and the teacher, they both make the teaching. So you
Oh yeah.
listening and me talking, we both made this conversation. So it's not just me from one side. No, you could have not um, allowed me in the way that you interview me, and you could have, there's a lot of things, but there's a lot of ways people interview, and you can see energy through an interview. You can see it, you know. So also, I also want to appreciate, brother, um, the way that we've managed to, you know, have the conversation, and how you've made it easy for me to be vulnerable, you know, and by being vulnerable yourself. And it's really something that's very rare, brother. It's very rare. You know you are a man. You don't need to be to remind anyone that you're a man. So being vulnerable when it's time for to be vulnerable, then that's where the power lies in, brother. Because there's no ego in being vulnerable. It's being honest. Okay, this is what I went through, and you're saving lives. You never
Yeah.
know who's watching. You never know who's watching, man. Power of vulnerability.
Thank you, man. Because of time, I please say this very short. What do you have to say about this platform? I should be gone at least by 2024.
I did it before. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
man. I feel like this is a great platform. You know, this is just a great platform for people for different souls to portray, and for others as well to learn, to see what, okay, actually we all go through the same thing, but in just different ways, you know. This is this platform is just great, man, because now we get to see what, oh, flip. Actually, yes, we might see life as this difficult thing, but there's some it's possible, man, to find that which death cannot even take away while you're in the present moment. It's possible to find that inner world, you know, that cannot be taken away by by even death in general. So it's possible to appreciate life, the present moment, not to say you are settling and like you are accepting everything. No, there's a difference. You're appreciating where you are and enjoying and making the best of it while you are there, you know. So I feel like the platform, man, it'll because I like the fact that it's not only focusing on one aspect. You know, we talk, okay, maybe it's politics, business. It's you allow everyone to bring out their stories and bring out the kind of people that they've managed to become because of those stories, man. So I really appreciate the platform, man. And yeah, yeah.
All right, brother. Thanks a lot, man. And God bless you. Thank you so much. And I wish you all the success throughout life, man.
Thank you, man.
And even in music, we can talk
Yeah,
about
brother.
that next
Yeah.
time.
Some other time.
I should,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Probably
yeah,
I
yeah.
would have something by that time, you know?
It's okay, man. It's okay. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
cheers. Until we meet
Thank you
again,
so much.
ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, for sure. Please share our conversations with your friends. And today it was me and SIKHOKHELE. Don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. It's as Vaikasi Explorer. Thank you. Until we meet again. Be legendary.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
So I think I can say I'm not a genius. I'm just a hardworking person, goal-orientated. And if I'm determined to do something, trust me, I'm going to go out of my way to get it done. I believe that anyone can become a top achiever regardless of anything. I know there are slow learners. I've come across slow learners, but I believe